Hello, Chris Green here with the Flood Insurance Guru, and today we're here on the water and we're talking about flood warnings. How long do they last? That's a question we get very often, especially when someone's trying to obtain flood insurance through the private flood insurance market. So it's a question we want to talk a little bit about today. You see, flood warnings many times can range from only lasting a day, maybe even lasting several weeks. This is also one of the major threats to people when the rain stops, where they think the threat of water coming into their home also goes down. And this actually is not the case. You see, many of these rivers and these lakes don't crest for several days after the rain is gone because of runoff. Just recently we talked to someone who, after all the rainfall, they thought they were lucky. They only had an inch of water in their property. Then they came downstairs the next morning to find 4 feet of water. And one of the results with this was, of course, the rivers and lakes rising because of that runoff. So many times this is why these flood warnings last a lot longer. It's because it takes time for that runoff to hit these areas. Then it takes time for that water level to come down. Then you talk about, spring and these severe storms that come in, like what's happening in Texas, where they're getting 10 and 12 inches of rain from these storms in large amounts of time. So this is kind of how flood warnings work. Now, it's important to understand too, generally when you have a flood warning in an area, most of your private flood insurance companies are going to have moratoriums in place, which means you cannot put a new policy in place until that flood warning expires. As I said, we see this a lot in the private market. So if you've got questions about flood warnings, how do they impact your flood insurance? When can you get them lifted so that you can get flood insurance? Click below to visit our website, floodinsuranceguru.com. Remember, we have an educational background in flood mitigation, which means we're here to help you understand flood risk like this right here and your flood insurance, so when crap happens, you're protected. Thank you.